All right, we're looking at a 2000 Pontiac G6 with 3.5. It's got a water pump leaking, so we're going to bust that out real quick. You got to take the airbox out, loosen it from here. So that'll be the first thing. Just go ahead and get your airbox out, move it out of the way. All right, so the airbox is pretty easy to get out. You just take the clamp off on this end for the air intake. You got 310 mils. You got one here, one back here, and then you got your AC hose that's clamped to it. Just unclamp that and move it out of the way. And now you can see you get down to your motor mount bolts right there. Not your motor mount, I'm losing my mind. Your water pump bolts. I'm going to go ahead and move this strut out of the way. You probably don't have to, but I like to see what I'm doing when I'm working on a car. So I'm going to go ahead and move it out of the way. I'll probably put a block of wood and hold the engine where it's at. Again, you probably don't have to on this because it's got a big mount on the bottom. And you also want to put a pan under here too, because when you take that water pump off, you're going to lose quite a bit of fluid. So anyway, I'm going to bust this little motor mount shock out of the way, and then we'll get to those pulley bolts down there a lot easier. All right, as you can see here, I moved that mount out of the way. Like I said earlier, you don't have to jack the engine up to do that because it's got a pretty big mount on the bottom. It didn't move at all. So anyway, that's out of the way. I just took the two 15mm bolts out. Now you want to get down here to these 410 and take your pulley loose first. Take these bolts out first, or at least get them loose before you take your belt off. That way the belt will help hold that while you're taking that loose. So next thing here, we'll bust all four of those loose, and then we'll get the belt off, and then we're down to the pump there, and we will take that off. So anyway, next thing is take those four bolts loose. All right, you can see here I got them all locked except one. That one's real loose. So I went ahead and put a 3/8 long ratchet in the tensioner hole down there. It's a 3/8 hole, and you just pull on it and then take the belt off. So now the belt's basically loose. Now you can take the rest of that, take that bolt out and then take the pulley off, and that'll get you down to the water pump bolts. All right, it's kind of hard to show you, but there's 5 13mm bolts around the perimeter of this water pump. You got to remove those, and then before I do that, usually what I do is I use that gasket glue, tacky stuff, and I just tack the gasket down so it holds there. I don't usually use RTV on that. If they give you a gasket like that, let the gasket do its job. The job of the gasket is to stop leaks. So I just spray some of this little red tacky gasket glue on there. That holds the gasket in place so when I install it. Never had a problem with that. Now obviously if you're doing an intake manifold or something and there's no gasket for, you know, certain areas or whatever, you have to use RTV. But on something like this, there's no reason to use RTV on the water pump. Just use the gas they supplied you with, tack it down, and install it. So I'll take those 5 out, and then we'll pull that water pump off. And this should be nice and dry by then, and then we'll install it back on. All right, so I actually took this mount off too. It's got two 13mm bolts. It bolts right here. That's what this motor mount bolts to. It just makes it easier. I don't think I can get it out there without that. Kind of forgot about that. So you can see the water pump's out. Completely out. So I'm just going to pull it up, and then we'll start putting the new one back in. So you can see the factory gasket's actually a lot nicer than the actually reusable. We're not going to reuse it because we got a new one with the water pump, with the new water pump. But this is actually a lot nicer gasket than the one that the aftermarket pump comes with. So you just want to clean that up a little bit. It's pretty clean already, but just go ahead and go over it again, clean it up a little bit, and then we will put the new pump on. All right, so it's back in there. You tighten those 5 bolts to 18 foot-pounds of torque. Kind of do a cross pattern on them. Now, 18 foot-pounds is not very much, so don't get too He-Man on it. And then actually the pulley is 18 foot-pounds too, according to the book, or to Mitchell. So next thing we'll do, we'll put that pulley back on and get those bolts on there pretty well. And then we'll put the belt on, and then we'll tighten the bolts down. So the belt just helps you to keep the pulley stable while you're tightening it. So anyway, we'll put those 4 bolts back in on the pulley, 18 foot-pounds on those, and then put the belt back on. So I had a brain fart. I forgot how the belt went on this thing, but you can see here. You can go on and Google it. Normally, Mitchell doesn't. I didn't see it in Mitchell, but you can Google the belt diagram on these certain cars. It'll show you. It's pretty easy to find it. Usually, the right diagram. Usually, I'm pretty good with remembering which way they went, but I don't know. Anyway, just a little tip: if you forget your diagram, belt diagram, or forgot how it routes, just Google it real fast and hit images, and you'll come up with it pretty quick. All right, so once you get the belt on tight, go ahead and tighten those 4 down to 18 foot-pounds. Like I said, if you don't have a torque wrench, that's not very much. So just tighten it and just, a little bit. So we're back down to basically just putting the airbox in and filling up the antifreeze. So you can see it's a pretty simple job. Pretty much anyone could do it with a little bit of patience. Just remember to leave your belt on and off when you do those pulley bolts. That'll make your job a lot easier. And go ahead and pull this mount out of the way. But other than that, it's pretty self-explanatory. That's a water pump on a 2007 Pontiac G6 with 3.5 in it. If you like this video or it helped you in any way, please like and subscribe so we can reach more people. And anyway, we'll put this airbox in and get this Hoopty back on the road.